Hey everybody, I've got another tech demo for you. So I've got the missile table mostly done. This uses a slightly different revised model of the other table, as you can see over here. This is the old school table. This is going to either be removed or revised. This is the new one. It's mirrored after the workstation. It'll have tabs for customization, auto crafting, and stuff. And of course, I still got more work to do on the GUIs, as you can clearly tell. But other than that, it's actually ready to show off here. I just need to load a couple missiles in here. So let me drop a few of these on the ground here for me to pick up. Fortunately, the missiles are not stackable. I actually am considering changing this now just because of the auto crafting behavior. Mainly because it's just hard to test, but I'll find another way around that here maybe later. So what it'll do is it will actually insert everything. It'll craft the missile. The missile briefly showed up because the ARMbot literally picked it up instantaneously. But what we'll see here is as it starts crafting is, well, let me remove these so you can see how it works. As you saw there, the missile popped up, then it inserted the warhead, then it inserted the parts. There's no shift-click support for this yet. I will implement that later. It's disabled due to a duplication bug and probably will remain disabled until that bug is fixed. But the bots will insert everything. I'm going to be adding delays to everything so that way the missile does show up and render longer. But the missile will show up, it'll render in segments very slowly over time. If I actually can pop another table over here, I can show how this renderer works. So I currently have an empty missile in my inventory. So we'll pop this on. It'll init as an empty missile. Also as well, I'm going to align this, so don't make any comments asking about it being aligned. But it'll init empty. There's no warhead on there, there's no engine, there's no guidance. Now if I insert the warhead now renders. This one's going to render without a nose cap because there's no explosive in that warhead I just did, so no explosive. The model will get more detailed as we go. There will also be an indicator that there's no trigger in the missile as well, which actually will be kind of important because later on there'll be a system to add the trigger at the last moment rather than implementing it on the warhead ahead of time. Because there is cases where you do not want to be sticking a big explosive thing on the end of something. But let's stick the engine here. The engine will render. And then the last part is the guidance. Now the guidance doesn't have a render yet. I've been talking to my modeler to fix this, but he hasn't got around to it. The plan is to make basically a brand new missile that's going to be really well detailed, a lot of movable parts and stuff like that. But back to this. You've got different tabs. These will be implemented later. The warhead customization tab won't have much options on it. The main use of it will be once you're in here is just to give you information about what is in the warhead. The reason for not giving you a lot of options is I don't want you to use the missile station itself to craft the warheads or even customize them. That's what the warhead crafting stations are for. Guides will have some options. Right now it's showing the engine twice, probably because of a small bug. I'll correct that here shortly. But this will have some settings in here to adjust your height, to adjust your fly distance, to adjust a few other different things. That way you can configure it. The mechanical guidance gear systems will have some pretty complicated settings in them, and you may end up having to do math. Even though they're the cheapest ones to actually utilize in the game, they're also going to be one of the harder ones to use. The microchips are going to be somewhat difficult to use, and then eventually they'll just be straight out GPS ones. GPS will be the easiest. You just put X, Y, Z into the coordinate system and you're done. Although you won't set the coordinates in the guidance chip here, the systems you would set inside for the GPS is max flying height, max flying distance. You'll be able to set like Y limits. So that way if you have a missile tube that's deep underground, you can say, hey, I don't want you to adjust your flight path at all until you're completely past this Y point. Engines will have settings too. They'll have burn rates on them. You'll be able to look at the fuel in here. There will be a fuel loader later. And of course, the final tab is the auto crafting tab. This one I've got to work on here more. I've configured and moved all the stuff. The first one here is to enable disable auto crafting. This one's the warhead check. That one is the guidance check and the engine check. Those checks change the behavior of the auto crafting only. Although when you flip the auto crafting on, it will modify this button as well. So once it's in auto crafting mode, you don't really want to use this for manually crafting. But that's it right there. So this is fully functional. I've got a lot more to test here. I'm going to go ahead and make a release here today, but it's going to be unstable. It's going to be marked as such. There'll be a more stable release probably here in a few days. But that's it. I'll have more videos for you guys later.